What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and are you getting ready to set some intentions for this week? We got a pretty busy week this week, and I think this is going to be one to really kind of get things on track, to really kind of see where you are ready to get out of your comfort zone, where you're ready to expand a lot more, and see how to establish order when you had a lot of energies kind of going on around, especially kind of collectively. So I feel this is going to be a great week to get grounded. We got Mercury entering into Libra. We got a couple of oppositions that are going to be going on with the North Node. Mercury is going to be kind of a big kind of key player here this week, a little mercurial activity. But before we get into that, if you're new here, my name is Justin, and again, welcome. And on this channel, one of the things that I do is talk about the weekly transits that are going on in the cosmos and how we can set intentions to grow and to achieve that highest version of yourself. And I'm going to be covering the week of September 26th, and we're getting ready to get into October, and it'll be until October 2nd. And let's get into this thing. Because on Jupiter Day, the 26th of September, at about 1:09 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, Mercury is going to be entering into Libra. And what I like about Mercury entering into Libra is Mercury is how we think, how we communicate. It's that practical wisdom. And I find when Mercury moves into the cardinal air sign of Libra, who's ruled by Venus, who's in Scorpio right now, so we're going to get into that a little bit. But this can be a really great idea or really great energy to take any ideas that you've been having and putting them into action, really speaking what you want into your world. And pay attention to if you've been playing a certain narrative for a long time or even for a little while that's been kind of bringing you down. This Libra allows you to get the scales back into balance and to get to where you're at a better equilibrium here. So get very creative energy, I feel, with Mercury being in Libra. If you have any ideas coming up and you feel like you're getting a lot of just like inspiration, write that stuff down. Even if you don't want to, you don't have to like tackle everything at once. But I do feel like it's just like maybe you can space some things out. Maybe you can just find a way to kind of weave this into however you want to weave this into your journey, or however you want to set these intentions. I do really believe that this can be a strong place for Mercury. The caveat I would say with this is that the dispositor of Mercury will be Venus, who's in her in her detriment right now in Scorpio. So I would say be mindful of speaking because when we're thinking about Libra, your words are going to have impact. I feel Libra is one, when you put that stuff out there, Libra has a way of attracting things, being that they're ruled by Venus. And again, with Venus being in Scorpio, if we're speaking or doing things from in a really intense, emotional, kind of reactive type of space, Mercury can be quick to kind of spit things out. And even though it may have been, may have been something that may not have seemed like a big deal in the short term, it could have some very long-term implications and sort of ramifications that could happen. So just kind of pay attention to that as well. If you find yourself wanting to, really just kind of think before you speak, I think that would be a very kind of practical way of working with this. And if you keep setting those, and this would be a great period of time, I think, to have kind of affirmations around something to keep you, or even working with some kind of like vision boards, possibly some sort of like, I'm even getting like working with like graphs or maybe like rubrics, something to kind of keep things in order, so you're not just like mindlessly just kind of manifesting. You really can, there's just something to kind of pay attention to there. Now, on Sunday, let's get into the next energy, because Sunday is going to be kind of a busy day. That'll be the 29th of September. The first transit is going to happen at a little after midnight. It's going to be at 12:25 a.m. The sun is going to form in opposition with the North Node, and this is going to happen at 6 degrees and 38 minutes. The sun is in Libra, and the North Node is in Aries. And of course, when the sun is opposing the North Node, that means it's going to be conjunct the South Node. So that's where I was saying earlier, where if you felt like you were speaking from a place, or if you've been finding yourself in some kind of rut, that sun in Libra can kind of shine a light on, okay, I like to think of the South Node, because we're going to talk about that first. The South Node is like your foundation. This is like familiar territory, places that you've been. And this is kind of looking around in the things that you've accumulated or the environment that you've been in. And it's just like what can stay and what's needing to change. And then because when we're thinking about an opposition, that's when the planets are exactly opposite on the zodiac wheel. They're 180 degrees apart. They're Saturnian in nature. And so we're seeing the things that we've created. And maybe some things that we've been avoiding. Maybe there's some sort of like, maybe there's, I can see this as maybe you've been wanting to work on your sobriety, or maybe you're wanting to start a new job, or maybe you're wanting to move to a new location, maybe you're wanting to do something with your relationship. That opposition with the sun can show you, pay attention to what kind of like, you know what, this is not how I visioned it. How do I want to, what do I need to do differently in order to expand on this thing, to have this reflect more of that in what I'm seeing internally and what I'm feeling internally, and what I'm, and the things that I'm even kind of thinking internally, just thinking about that Libra energy. And with the North Node being in Aries, it's if you've been afraid of doing whatever this is in your life, now going for it, having that cardinal fire. That's, Aries is ruled by Mars, and so we're taking action, and we're doing this instinctively. This is something I feel like you would know this thing has been going on for a while. Let's say if this is like a sobriety thing, this could be where you have like a really bad night. I'm thinking of a period of time. Oh goodness, this was sometime last year where I was going through a bit of a relationship, kind of a friendship thing, and I had something happen that really I really was just, I kind of had like a come to spirit moment, and it was just like, you know what, this is not sustainable. This is not where I want things to be, and something's gonna have to give. Something's gonna have to change, and now I'm gonna have to take that action. It's just like something that I knew was just like it was building up, but it had finally reached a culminating point. It was just like, all right, it's just like you got to make a decision at this point. How are things gonna keep going? And I think that's gonna flow nicely because the next transit at about 5:19 p.m., Mercury is going to be forming that same opposition. It's going to be at the exact same degree. Mercury is right on the keels of the sun. And with Mercury opposing the North Node, now this is something that you can't ignore anymore. I feel like this is something where the job you've had enough of it, or you're not getting the promotion you want and you wanted to do bigger, or maybe you're wanting to start that business, or oh goodness, maybe whatever this, maybe you've been putting off repairs for something in the home, and now things are starting to get out of hand. I feel this opposition is just like, we can't stay in this place anymore, this familiar space, or it's like this, or I mean, you can, but it's just like, is this going to lead me to my detriment? Is this going to stagnate my growth? That's something I feel is really kind of coming into play here. And then kind of form that with even later that evening, at about 9:06 p.m., Mars is going to be forming a trine with Saturn. And this is going to be happening at 14 degrees and 24 minutes. Mars is in Cancer, and Saturn is retrograde in Pisces right now. And when we're thinking about the trines, that's when the planets are 120 degrees apart from one another. They're in like elements. So water energies, fire energies, air energies, earth energies. That's where you'll see the trines happen. They can be very beneficial. There's movement. There's new beginnings. They're Jupiterian in nature. And I find with this, considering that this is the two malefics that are happening, or this trine is happening, whatever this work that you're needing to get done, now we're getting into the emotional space when we're thinking about Cancer and we're thinking about Pisces. This is something where not only are we just thinking about it, we're feeling the energy wanting the ship, but now we're feeling this thing too. And it's like, it's going to be some work, whatever this thing is, especially when we're working with the North Node. Again, this is unfamiliar territory. You're not sure how this is going to play out. And you may have this vision, but it may not span the way you think. And you're going to need to put in the work for it. And I feel like it's finding things to help you keep the emotions moving and to keep that motivation without letting it get to where you feel exacerbated or you're feeling frustrated, or maybe even when you're feeling afraid, possibly even. You know, that Mars in Cancer is in his fall when he's in Cancer. So there's a potentiality for being reactive, from acting from a place of fear, from a place of depression, from a place of anger, frustration. So with this, I feel if you're able to put in, not if, when you find the tools in order to in order to help you move through this thing, I feel that the work will be rewarded in the long run, always. But I do feel that too, where the trines, they do get things moving. And I do feel that that can happen on the opposing end, especially if this is something that is not conducive to your health. Let's say you've been needing to quit sweets, but you've been still kind of piling it on, or if you've been, whatever this may be, the ramifications again the consequences may come in faster. And then we have to do it out of, instead of making a conscious choice to try to fix it, now we're going to be forced to fix it. And then, of course, that's going to make you feel some type of way on top of having to do the work too. And it's just adding on this extra workload that I feel we can avoid if we just working with the energies and just putting in that time, putting in that work, and just showing up each day. And again, I feel, to kind of come back to Mercury a little bit, that this ideal that you're creating, try not to let perfect be the enemy of great, of the progress that you're making. Even if you have to take this in baby steps, maybe you've gotten told, your doctor's like, hey, you got to start moving more. That doesn't mean you have to start running 10 miles every day. Maybe just going out for a walk each day. Maybe just doing some light yoga. You know, when you think about, okay, let me do some, maybe learning some different posture exercises, just like little things. These little efforts they accumulate. I'm just even thinking about with water, how when you think about rain, the individually water droplets don't really do anything, but when they're coming down in buckets, we're getting a flood of energy here. And so that's what I feel like is happening. I'm thinking of the tarot. I'm thinking of like the Six of Wands. It's like appreciating the little wins so you can prepare for the big wins. So that's even just something that's kind of coming through there. Now let's talk about this last transit, because on Moon Day, that's going to be the 30th of September, at about 2:09 a.m., the Sun, not a.m., p.m., the Sun and Mercury are going to be forming a conjunction with one another. And this is going to happen at 8 degrees and 11 minutes of Libra. And this is going to be where Mercury is now forming a superior conjunction with the Sun. So now Mercury is in its power. It's where it formed the last conjunction. It was doing a lot of reflecting. We were kind of seeing where we could fix some things. But now Mercury's moving fast again. Mercury's going to be clipping. And so I feel that this conjunction with the Sun and Mercury in Libra, you're getting the inspiration, you're getting these downloads, you're getting these messages, whether they be in your dreams, maybe it's something you hear over a friend or a conversation, or you see it in a magazine. You're going to start getting more of these downloads, that things are going to be on your mind more, and we're just going to need to initiate from that. It's going to be, I feel like it's like not just keeping it more than thoughts, because again, that when we're opposing the North Node, we're needing to take action with Aries. So it's just like, all right, now we're understanding why we needed to take this thing. It may not have been how we wanted it to be, but it's always is going to work for your betterment, I feel, in the long run. The spirit is never setting you up to just be in this place of suffering. You know, it's always meant to be for your growth. I'm even getting a message of like, appearances are not what they appear to be, you know, or like it's like something could seem, again, it's like something could seem like kind of oh, I got to do this stuff in the short term. It's like it's tedious. It can feel daunting. But then after you've been doing it for a couple months, you start getting in the swing of like, oh, you know what? I've actually come to enjoy this, and you know what? I can imagine living without doing this thing. And something I wanted to bring to your attention too. I wanted to talk about the Sabian symbol. I like to talk about that when we're doing with the conjunctions. And this is going to be happening at phase, or this conjunction is at, again, like at 8 degrees of Libra. It's going to be phase 189 of Libra. And the Sabian symbol is 3 old masters hanging on the wall of a special room in an art gallery. And the keynote for this is the need to return to source during a confused search for new value in a chaotic society. And I like this because I feel like this is you just kind of returning to your roots, getting back to the root thoughts of what am I doing with my life? Where have I been initiating from? Have I been just going about just being pulled to and fro, just kind of thoughtlessly with all this collective energy? And how can I get more grounded and like ground my ideas and my thoughts and get just back to my truth, get back to what I want to do? And I feel like if we all do that individually, that has such a big collective impact. And then there's not so much of this chaos that could be perceived. We're not getting caught up just because everyone else is screaming fire. I think about sometimes when I'll be watching things and thinking about different transits and stuff like that. Oh, there's going to be massive energy. It could be if you want it to be, but most of the time, I feel like the transits, like I'll be kind of observing while I'm out, and most people are just kind of going about their day, not really paying attention to this stuff. But when you are setting those intentions, you can kind of. It's not that you're above anyone else, but there's a different level of consciousness that's there. You're seeing how the pieces are being moved and how maybe you have been kind of swept up in something. And it's like, you know what? I think I'm going to get out of this. People are kind of fighting against this stream. I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm just kind of feel this thing out and just kind of watch how things just tend to get back in order when we just kind of separate ourselves from this thing. And I feel like this can be a great time to just kind of claim your mental power back, to get this sense of autonomy in your life again if you've been feeling like stuff has been just really out of sorts. So overall this week, I feel like, again, a lot could be potentially going on, but it's only if that's what you're intending to do, and just kind of pay attention to what's coming up. And if things do feel like it's getting out of hand, know that you can always pull it back. And if you need assistance, as far as like talking with someone, asking for help, whatever that's looking like, no, you're not in this by yourself too. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes Libra, with that Mercury in Libra, maybe we can be afraid to say something or kind of speak something because it's like, well, I know I need it for this, but what if this happens? What if that happens? But what if that happens? And it's just like, well, you won't know until you ask. You know what I mean? And sure, like where I was saying Libra can have, being the cardinal air sign, the initiator of thought, it can have some consequences, but that doesn't have to be just negative consequences. It could be, people may surprise you. They may be where it's like you ask for help, maybe you need a loan for something. They're just like, oh, why did you wait so long to ask me that? Absolutely, I'll help you. Yeah, I mean, I know you're good for it. Don't even trip on it. Like, have this. Oh, I've even got like a thing just thinking with Mercury and Libra. Just have more empowering thoughts of yourself. Thinking beautiful thoughts when we're working with that kind of Mercury and Libra energy. Very kind of, I feel like Libra is a strong indicator of law of attraction. You create your words. Your word's your weapon. Your word is your power. And one last thing I wanted to mention that's going to be happening, it would be on Mercury Day. We're going to be having an eclipse that's going to be in Libra. And if you're wanting to I'm not going to go too much into that over on this channel, but I go way more in depth on all the lunar shenanigans on my other channel, the Chariot Friends. And there's a link down in the description box below for that to go see that video once that video is posted. So stay tuned for that if that's something you want to check out there. But until then, I think that's all I got for you. So enjoy this week. Keep raising that consciousness, raising that vibration through the roof. And then I think that's all I got for you. So I will catch ya. on the next one, Wednesday.